Welcome, everybody. First, thank you for taking the time to join this webinar, Optimizing the Payment Experience in a Post-Pandemic World. My name is Silvia Montfort, and for those who don't know me, I'm the head of marketing in Northern Europe, and today we will be with our 4 experts. So we do have Lee Jones, Managing Director in Northern Europe, Frederic Frisarien, Head of Pre-Sales in Northern Europe, David Allen, Director of Customer Operations, and James Frost, Business Development Manager Acquiring, who has kindly stepped in to replace Mark Doherty, who had been due to present today, but had to change his plans for personal reasons. During today's webinar, we will cover the following points. So, Worldline and Ingenico, what happened, why, and what does it mean for merchants? A look at how Worldline will enhance the payment ecosystem in 2022 and beyond. Acquiring, dare to think differently. Assuring your customer experience journey, and of course, we will have a part for Q&A. So I will be handing over the proceedings to Lee in a minute, but first, can I ask anyone with questions to put them in the Q&A function? I will direct them to the relevant speaker at the end of the session. And if you'd like a deeper dive into any of the content after the session, we will be in touch by email. Also, we are recording the webinar. So if you'd like to share it with your team or any colleagues, we will get this over to you in the next couple of days. Well, I think most people have joined now. So Lee, would you like to kick off?
Yes, sure. Stefan, can you move to the next slide for me, please? Thank you, everybody, for joining the session today. It is great that you've taken the time out and having the opportunity to listen to not just myself, but my colleagues who are going to take you through some interesting content. I'm going to start by giving you a little bit of a look back and a look forward at both Ingenico and now Worldline, as Worldline now obviously owns Ingenico. But I thought it'd be useful just to start by giving you a bit of a view on where both companies have come from, what we are going to focus in on, and actually also why Worldline went out and decided to acquire the Ingenico business. So Stefan, can you move to the next slide for me, please? Okay, so this history graph that you can see in front of you is based very much on the Ingenico business as was and as is. Ingenico is just over 40 years old, and as many of you are aware, and as far back as I can remember, we are the #1 provider of secure payment terminals for the UK, for Europe, and globally. But as an organisation, around the early 2000s, our executive management team decided that we needed to broaden out the services and the products that we could offer to our customers if we were going to continue to grow and develop as a business. So one of the decisions that was made was to go and start to look at businesses that operated in the payment service sector, which was complementary to our hardware. And one of the key first acquisitions we made was of a business called Moneyline in France. Moneyline in France actually owned and ran what was and is still today the market-leading cardholder present gateway, a product called Access, which some of you may be familiar with. Over the subsequent years, and even now, what has happened is Access has been rolled out and deployed into many countries, including, excuse me, but not limited to the UK and Ireland, Spain, Portugal, and more recently Italy, but even places as far afield as New Zealand and Australia. Like a lot of payment service providers, Ingenico was very strong in the cardholder present space, but had a very limited offer when it came to online payment processing. So the organisation decided, to effectively acquire an online payment provider as opposed to invest and build out their own capability. The online that Ingenico actually went out and acquired was a business called Ogon, which is one of the top 5 leading payment service providers in Europe. And then over the next few years, what happened was we actually knitted the 2 gateways together so we could provide a consistent reporting portal share tokens across both platforms, which would allow us to deliver unique and different customer journeys. So in the principle, allowing customers to start a transaction in one channel and complete it in another. The final bit of the jigsaw that we were lacking as to be a true end-to-end payment service provider was around acquiring. And towards the end of 2017, Ingenico bought a business called Bambora for 1.7 billion euros. And that effectively represents what were, for me at least, the key building blocks and points in the Ingenico history that I wanted just to draw some attention to today. Can you move to the next slide, please, Stefan? As you can see, Worldline is actually a little bit older than the Ingenico business, established back in 1973, and only a little bit older than myself. Honestly, that is the truth. But what you can see on here is very clearly a business that's grown strongly, both organically and through acquisition. Now, clearly, I'm not going to go through all the dates and every acquisition that's on the slide, but there are a few that jump out. In particular, the partnership, which led to the strategic acquisition of Six Payment Services, was one that was a really critical part for Worldline as it started to grow its footprint in acceptance. And then clearly you can see in 2020, the transaction of Ingenico when Worldline bought the business. And then more recently, since the Ingenico acquisition, Worldline is still not standing still. They're going out there, they're buying more companies, they're investing in new products, and they're looking to bring more and more organizations into the fold. Can you go to the next slide, please, Stefan? Thank you. Again, I'm not going to go through all the points on this slide, but effectively, Worldline and Ingenico together is a market-leading business with lots of people doing many things for many merchants. The reason Worldline went out and approached Ingenico to acquire the business was quite interesting as a story. So I remember I was at a leadership event just before lockdown started in February 2020, and it was out in Barcelona. And on the Monday, the conference was due to start. An announcement came out to say that Worldline had an offer accepted for acquiring the Ingenico business. And at the event that we were at, the CEO at the time, and still the CEO of Worldline, plus the deputy CEO, both joined the leadership team of Ingenico and presented their vision for the organization moving forward. And what Gilles Grappinet said, who is the CEO of the business, is that it was like a marriage where they wanted the two companies to come together because they felt it was a very complementary fit, and where we were strong in some areas and they were weak, that would fit nicely, and vice versa. One example is in the Benelux area, where Ingenico has always had strong aspirations to grow its market share. But Worldline is already there and already the market-leading provider of payment services, so that box is ticked. And then on the Ingenico side, Ingenico brings the number one, secure payment terminal provider footprint and customer base to Worldline, as well as having, for example, the market-leading payment service for cardholder present processing in the UK, among many other things. So he viewed it as a marriage. And while it sounded, perhaps to some, a little bit cheesy about how much he was in love with Ingenico, what really stood out was that payments is about scale. This brought together two market-leading companies, and we're already seeing and continue to see that the opportunity for growth is immense. Can you move on to the next slide, please, Stefan? Thank you. So in terms of what does this mean moving forward, so just a few points here that I'd like to touch on. So regarding scale, payments is about scale. And at Worldline, we stand ready to support our customers, whether they are growing their business and their volumes are increasing, whether as a result of growth, they want to go into new geographies, or there are merchants out there that have huge volumes of transactions that they need someone to trust and rely upon. In terms of, progression, then for me, it's about not standing still. You've got to continually invest in processes, people, technology and services, and that is something that we will do, and we now have even more capability and more funds to be able to really drive into the service propositions that we have. We're always looking at how we can add value, how we can work with people, and how we can actually collaborate to deliver, new experiences for customers, but also deliver the services that shoppers, staff in shops, and merchants will come to increasingly expect and rightly demand. Payments is changing faster than ever before, and it's really important as a business that we're able to support our customers as things change. We know payment decisions, that are made are not for 1 year or 2 years. They're typically for 5 or 10 years. So getting it right, choosing the right provider and partner from the outset is absolutely critical. In terms of trust, this is something that's hard to earn and something that we never take for granted. Once it's lost forever. And again, back to the point about, collaboration and payment decisions lasting for many years. We want people to trust us. We want people to work with us. And together, we can add a lot of value, to the customer experience that is out there. Innovation. I mentioned previously that there is so much happening, arguably at a pace faster than ever before in the payment world. At Worldline, almost every day, I come across a new service, a new solution, something that we've acquired, something that we've developed, something that we're testing. We're in a fantastic place, given the breadth of our experience, the experts that we have in the business, the solutions and services we offer, and things that are planned, in the short, medium, and long term to really drive that innovation roadmap. So we stand ready. We look forward to helping you. And again, I'd like to thank you for your time and for joining this webinar today. Sylvia, back across to you.
Thank you, Lee. Okay, I think we have Fred next. Fred, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sylvia, and good morning, everyone. So the objective of the next couple of slides is to give you an overview of what's coming in our roadmap in 2022, but also to look at some of the innovation that are being worked on and planned. So Stefan, if you can move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So as you can see on the slide, the roadmap has been split into 6 different categories and has really been designed to respond to the requirements of our vertical segments and our regional markets. So as you probably know, Worldline are organized per vertical. So we manage different verticals, such as grocery, quick service restaurants, specialty retail, and a few others. And regional requirements include, for instance, the support of additional countries, additional acquirers. So for instance, we're adding connectivity to an acquirer in the Netherlands. We already have a presence and we support a number of different acquirers in Italy, in Spain, in Poland. And there we're adding new local and new alternative payment methods. These alternative payment methods can also be found in other countries. So in France, for instance, we have a requirement to support meal vouchers. In Poland, we are going to be supporting a new digital wallet called Blink, and we're also adding onto the solution a new service called Buy Now, Pay Later, which is basically an integration with one of the Buy Now, Pay Later provider called Alma, and we're also looking at integrating Klarna. We're also adding to our roadmap a number of value-added services. So we're launching a new DCC, so Dynamic Currency Conversion service for online and in-store, using our own acquiring platform. So that will complement the offer we currently have through other DCC providers such as Fexco and Global Blue. As far as online fraud is concerned, we're going to be offering pre-packaged integration with third-party online fraud providers. So starting with Microsoft Dynamics 365 next year. So this will provide an alternative to those who wish to use Worldline eCom Gateway, but wish to retain their existing provider. We've also developed a new service called Smart Engage, which will allow merchants to display dynamic messages on their payment devices, as well as collect responses to the questions that are displayed on the terminals. So what the solution provides is a framework of predefined screen styles and responses And your POS application will be able to call these screens through the standard C3 API for those who are familiar with Axis and our install gateway, and apply text and images to the screens in a dynamic way. So this service can support a number of different use cases. It can support customer surveys, tips, donations, and you can also display barcodes and QR codes. So as far as the ecosystem is concerned, we all know that the payment ecosystems is becoming more and more complex. So it's important that we keep the user experience simple, not just from a consumer perspective, but also from your perspective, so from the merchant perspective. And we're looking to add on our e-com gateway and solution an account updater to automatically update card data when cardholder information on the website changes or expires. We're also looking to add an exemption engine to allow you to determine which transactions are eligible for an exemption and which type of exemption to request. And finally, we're looking to add a self-provisioning module in ePortal to give merchants the option to perform basic provisioning tasks, such as adding new stores, creating or removing new POS or devices. As far as resilience is concerned, I know it's a key concern for a lot of merchants today, and the importance of always being able to take payments and ensure your revenue is critical. So we're looking to extend our smart routing capabilities to the online platform to allow an acquiring service to be used as a backup to your primary acquirer, but also to give you the option to route transactions to the acquirer that will charge the lowest fee. And finally, to give you greater visibility of system performance, we're looking to add a monitoring dashboard to ePortal so you can view in real time the health of the system. As a payment provider, we have an obligation to maintain compliance with the different standards, different acquirers, schemes. So there is an ongoing process to add new features and capabilities. And we're introducing next year, and this is something that we've already started, support for the new Visa 8-digit BIN range for the PAR, which is also known as the primary account reference, which is a unique identifier that's generated by the acquirers, so the equivalent of a token, effectively. And we're also looking to enhance our voice referral process and support online refunds. And finally, we have a new range of Android devices coming out towards the end of next year. So these devices will run on Android 10 operating system and will support APIs, so you can easily integrate your own value-added services onto your onto the device alongside the standard payment process. Okay, so Stefan, if you can move on to the next slide. Thank you. So let's talk about innovation. So we have a dedicated team within Worldline responsible for monitoring market trends and requirements, and also designing solutions that leverage our core payment capabilities, and in some cases integrate them with other technologies. So we have listed here examples of innovations that are being worked on at the moment. So including live streaming e-commerce, which is a very popular service in China, where we provide the ability to process payment whilst the videos are being streamed. So for this solution, we work in partnership with a company called LiveScale, and we have a pilot deployed with L'Oréal, the French cosmetic company, and that's currently going or is currently live. We also have a partnership with a company called Lucky Cycle to offer customers the chance to win back their shopping. So once you've completed the checkout process, you are invited to take part in a game such as Spin the Wheel and to win back your shopping. Voice commerce is also a technology we're using to integrate payments. So customers using their voice and a smart speaker, I'm sure you've all got or come across Alexa from Amazon or Google Home. So using a smart speaker, you can build a shopping basket and pay for your products in a secure fashion. Scan and Pay, that's another solution we have, not so much at the stage of innovation within Worldline, but we have a live solution in many stores today. And Our solution uses a progressive web application, which effectively does not require the user to download an app on their phone, which is really one of our main unique selling point of the scan and pay solution. In the mobility space, we're looking to use a standard Android Samsung phone and turn that into a payment device using the NFC reader on the phone as well as the pin on glass technology. And finally, we've talked about smart routing capabilities earlier on and the fact that we're porting that onto our e-com platform. We're also looking to use artificial intelligence and gather data from the acquirers in order to dynamically select the right acquirer to improve acceptance rates and also to minimize costs. So these are just a few examples of the innovation that we've developed. We have many demos and material available which illustrate how these innovations work, and be very happy and delighted to discuss how some of these innovations can fit and work within your own environment. Okay, that concludes the roadmap and innovation session. So I'm going to hand over to James now, who's going to talk to you about acquiring.
Thanks, Frederic, and thanks everyone for joining this webinar. This section is to give you a view on how, as a full end-to-end service provider, we can provide extra value to our merchants, especially by leveraging our acquiring capabilities. In effect, as shown earlier in this presentation, our strategic focus over the past years has been to progressively move up the payment value chain to keep pace with the growth of our customers, market demand, and position ourselves as full end-to-end service provider. Today, with Worldline and Ingenico having joined forces, this newly composed group brings extensive capabilities for our merchants to consider, and we've seen all along this past year how powerful it is to have brought together the leader in acceptance across Europe, which was Ingenico, with the leader in commercial acquiring, which was Worldline, for two main reasons. First is the payment industry is a scale industry where you need to be able to do massive investments to manage and anticipate continuous evolutions in regulations, technology, and consumer behavior. Secondly, it allows a combination of assets, especially the omni-channel platform of Ingenico, and on the other side, the acquiring assets of Worldline to provide a comprehensive offer to our merchants by basically bringing best of both worlds to our merchants. This unique combination also enables us to act as a true merchant advisor by leveraging your transactional data that we manage to review and suggest financial optimizations to ultimately add value to your current operations. This type of diagnostic can be performed on your request by the Worldline advisory team without asking you for any additional data, and for which the outcome is to share with you several optimization levers for you to further investigate with our support. So, as you may experience when entering those discussions, combining our acceptance layers with our acquiring platform can add value to your setup in many ways. One could be to leverage on our smart routing engine to route transactions to the best acquirer based on a set of defined criteria, enabling, for example, to implement on-us or fallback acquiring strategies, to name a few. We can also look at ways to help generate additional revenue through our two-party DCC offering, which would give your foreign shoppers using foreign cards the option of paying in their home currency at the point of payment, enabling them to have a very transparent view on the price in their local currency. At the same time, we, as your acquirer, would share with you the revenue generated from that service. Another stream could be to help enhance your customer experience by providing statistical consulting to help you better understand consumer behaviors and expectations to adapt loyalty programs and consumer offers you'd like to launch. Finally, from a pure commercial perspective, a financial concession can be activated in scenarios where our merchants already using Worldline PEDs and gateways connect also to Worldline as an acquirer. So these concessions could be used to offset PED costs or gateway charges, or a combination of your choice. So now I hand over to David Allen that will take you through our customer experience.
Thank you, James, and thank you and good morning, everyone. My name is David Allen and my role is Head of Customer Operations for Worldline in the UK. I joined Ingenico over 5 years ago, and during this time I've seen a lot of change in Ingenico, and now that we are under the Worldline family. My role is to look after the portfolio of delivery projects and programmes in the UK, and also to look after the service and operations for our UK customers. Many of the people that you deal with and interact with on a day-to-day basis will work in my team. I'm here briefly to touch on customer experience, what it means for you and your customers, and also to give you some insight into the importance of customer experience here at Worldline and how the foundation of our customer experience for us is driven by our mission for operational excellence. Next slide, please, Stefan. I don't need to tell anyone on this call about the importance of a positive customer experience. Market studies show that businesses with a top-notch customer experience stands a higher chance of growing consistently year on year. Delivering exceptional customer experience is the best way to retain your customers, develop customer loyalty, which will ultimately drive more sales and revenue. We are seeing the effects that the pandemic has had on customer experience and the way in which our customers are interacting with our brands, with a clear shift to customers buying more online. Within the payments experience, we've started to see changes and impacts of the PSD2 regulation, the introduction of strong cardholder authentication, and we've also seen the increase from a CVM viewpoint, initially from £30 to £45 at the beginning of the pandemic, and now laterally the £100 increase that has went through in October. Whilst we do not own the end-to-end customer experience with your end customers, payments within that journey is a critical touch point, and we need to ensure that the payment interaction with Worldline supports your desired customer experience and is as seamless and frictionless as possible. Our role is to help support every customer interaction that you have, from paying something in store with your card or making a purchase online. Our aim is to make it as seamless and efficient as possible to help you drive and deliver your desired customer experience. We take the responsibility very seriously here at Worldline to ensure that we support you in delivering your end-to-end customer experience. Whilst we do not own the direct end-to-end customer experience with your end customers, we do own it with you as our existing customers. Therefore, we always need to strive to improve the ways in which we interact with you. From every phone call to every monthly service meeting, from every provisioning request that you have for a new store opening, we need to look at ways to improve and optimise the experience you have working with us. Equally, even on the project side of things, it's vitally important that you get a great customer experience. We know projects can be tough and have their challenges, and they often have their ups and downs as well. But at Worldline, we really want you to feel that we're trying to drive as hard and as fast as possible, not to take risk, and to retain the level of trust, openness and transparency when having some of those difficult project conversations. What I would ask everyone on this call is that you have an open and honest conversation with us. Whatever the touch point you have into Worldline, through your account manager, your service manager, your project manager, express where you feel the customer experience is and where improvements could be made. What would make your life easier? We really are delighted to hear your feedback, because it's this feedback which will then drive the various improvements that we need to make. And I know that there are further improvements that we need to make. One final point I would like to emphasise is the role of assurance. I feel that the role of assurance is to ensure that your payment journey you receive from Worldline is as robust, resilient and reliable service that supports your customer experience journey with your end customers. We want you to have the confidence that the way in which we take payments through whichever channel is fast, safe and reliable, and that the revenue you make from your end customers safely ends up in your bank account. For me, that confidence is key to any customer experience journey. Customer experience and customer satisfaction at Worldline is really at the centre of everything we do. We have a dedicated customer experience team whose sole mission is to drive quality and initiatives with the emphasis on improving customer experience. They focus on quality to drive consistency throughout our organisation, across our customers, whatever geography we are operating in. They look at initiatives to improve everything we do as part of our end-to-end process and how we engage with our customers. Some of these initiatives will be directly visible to you. Some will improve how we address level 1 incident response, how we improve the provisioning requests. But for us, no matter if it's directly visible or not, every moment that we can improve by 10 seconds or 10 minutes to improve the experience and the robustness of that experience with you is beneficial. Equally, there will be points of interaction that we have with our customers to look at improvement opportunities in terms of how we engage with you, how we open up our online services to allow you to log incidents, how you can raise provisioning requests. The customer experience team within Worldline works with all the stakeholders here to drive those initiatives: customer services, product teams, delivery teams, and the sales teams as well. We really want our customer satisfaction with you to reflect the experience you have of working with us. We recently held our International Customer Experience Day last month, which reflects the industry-wide event. And I must say it was very impressive seeing customer services teams from all over the world come together to discuss and recognise what customer experience means from them, and also to discuss on the various initiatives and progress they're making to address and improve customer experience. We were also there to celebrate and recognise individuals in our customer services teams who've worked together with our customers and collaborated to deliver exceptional outcomes in what can sometimes be a very challenging and pressurised moments. However, the one thing that really struck me was the culture and the mindset driven down by the top management around the significance, the importance, the priority in providing a great customer experience. Next slide, please, Stefan. I just wanted to give you some feedback on my reflections to date of Worldline since the merger went through late last year. Now, I joined Ingenico in 2016, and I was always aware of the strong customer focus that Ingenico had. But I have to say I've been very, very impressed with the focus and attention around customer experience since the acquisition with Worldline. Worldline are a very data-driven organisation, and this emphasis on data points is being rolled out to the former Ingenico businesses. This approach will mean that we will become a very data-driven organisation in everything we do. It will improve and drive the level of detail that we have with our internal KPIs. It will allow us to drive consistency and standardisation across everything that we do. Data-driven approach allows us to really focus on areas of improvement. As I said earlier, no matter how small or big, they will ultimately lead to a better service and a greater customer experience. It is early days, but I can definitely see that this customer experience and driving for operational excellence is at the heart of everything we do. Now, I've mentioned operational excellence a number of times. Operational excellence is the mission of the kind of Worldline Customer and Technology Operations Office. It is to deliver IT and customer services, which we believe with operational excellence will be a competitive advantage. We truly believe that this mindset and attention to our customers and delivering excellence is a key differentiator for us. With the use of data, we will continually be able to measure ourselves against the market and what our customers are demanding of us to allow us to continually improve. It will allow us to drive consistency and standardisation, which is a key cornerstone in what we're trying to achieve, irrespective of where we operate from. Within Worldline, operational excellence is based on 4 key cornerstones, and you can see that within the slide on the screen. It talks about industrialisation, it talks around quality, operational efficiency, and people. And I'll briefly touch on, a couple of those cornerstones. For industrialisation, the real key here is that we operate as a global organisation with standard processes, governance, and KPIs. We minimise local variances as we strive for consistency and repeatability. For people, ensuring that we have the right talented individuals who are passionate about delivering operational excellence to our customers. We aim and we strive to invest through development and learning of our people and our talents to grow their capability. I mentioned earlier about our customer experience day, which we held a number of weeks ago, and it's evident from this that we have a lot of passionate people in our business that want to deliver for you. And it's our job as a business to enable our staff to deliver for you. And then just before I finish, I know that this could just appear to be mantra around operational excellence. I can speak with some certainty that this approach has been driven out into our everyday operational work. It's also key that we continue to get your feedback on your experience working with us so we can continue to improve and deliver the positive experience and great experience of you working with us. When we can deliver operational excellence for you, we truly believe that this will deliver a very strong customer experience for you. And Stefan, thank you for that. I'll now hand the floor over to Sylvia. Yeah, sorry, apologies. Thank you for that.
Not a problem at all, David, and thanks so much. That was really helpful indeed. There have been a few questions coming through. Let me see. First one, what are key topics of conversation with merchants currently? Fred, I think you could take this one.
Yeah, so key topic of conversation with merchants today. I think one of the key topic of discussion is using data to provide actionable insight and also enhance customer journeys. I heard a great quote from one of our customers recently, which says data is the new oil, and that's very relevant. And in terms of the driver behind it and the technology that sits behind that data and making use of that data is tokenization, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. But tokenization plays a great part in being able to do that and achieve that. Allows you merchants to store customer details online or install securely. Gives you the ability to enable capabilities like one-click checkout on your website. And as I say, it allows you to store all sorts of unique data inside to provide you extra benefits, really. So, for example, enabling you to figure out where a payment journey started and where it was completed, or potentially giving you the percentage of online versus in-store sales. That's just a few examples of how you can use the data through tokenization. I mean, in addition, tokenization can be used in loyalty programs and rewards to consumers. That's another of the many ways that tokenization can be used in all parts of the retail process, really, to store valuable information that will help you, merchants, to then tailor and personalize your consumer experience.
Okay, thank you, Fred. Well answered. David, this one looks like a question for you. What are the two key things that Worldline do in order to ensure a project delivers in line with customer objectives? I think that one is for you.
Okay, I think I heard it kind of broke up slightly there just now, but
do you?
Yeah, so certainly the way in which we want to ensure that we get alignment of what we deliver as a project against what clearly the objectives are from the customer. You know, what's been very successful to date is that we commenced the project with a discovery and design consultation exercise. So discovery and design has proved to be very successful in the last few years, which we've been kind of enabled that, where it's a consultation exercise. You know, we will drive from the outset of the program, where we will, you know, drive a series of workshops that really provide a true end-to-end focus on what we need to deliver for our customers just now. So, you know, the discovery and design will have workshops that cover the functional requirements of the solution, be it in-store, online, tokenization, reporting. We'll also look at things like the technical architecture around the network, the resilience of the solution. We'll also look at the service and the operational performance that we need to drive to and what's expected, and how we interact on a day-to-day basis from an operational viewpoint. You know, what we tend to find then is that an output from that discovery and design exercise will be a set of kind of really concrete deliverables identified upfront, you know, around functional requirements for in-store, the non-functional requirements, the e-com side of things, any of the tokenization side of things, reporting and reconciliation. We'll have a very detailed program management plan where we'll work with our customers, their third parties, and any independent third parties, such as the acquirers or their delivery organizations, to ensure that we've got a very robust plan and set of requirements up front, which everyone is signed up to and understands where they need to play in the execution of that. And from a timeline, it really has proved to significantly reduce the cost of the project, the overruns of projects. And, you know, based on some recent examples of where we've executed the D&D, or the discovery and design, and then the actual project that there follows, the accuracy for all parties involved has become significantly better. So that's probably one of the key things, Sylvia, that going forward, you know, we would always recommend to our customers.
Right. Thank you very much, David. James, do you want to pick this one up? How can Worldline help merchants from an acquiring perspective, and how are you looking to start growing further in the UK, specifically in this area?
Yeah, sure. I think there's two ways of looking at that. I mean, I think our acquiring platform, I mean, there's either you're looking at the acquiring platform as a standard solution or combining, as I mentioned earlier, our acceptance layers and the acquiring platform. And I think in the first case, as a standalone platform, I mean, we've got really a state-of-the-art platform, highly configurable, I mean, designed to mirror the organization of the merchant in terms of payouts, in terms of reporting, you know, very large scheme offering, going from international schemes to local schemes such as Bank Contact. So, you know, extensive capabilities there. But I think what really generates value is when we add our acceptance and our acquiring platform, and this combination, you know, we can leverage our native reporting and reconciliation. We can reduce significantly the complexity at merchant level. We can, you know, leverage our smart routing engine by, you know, sending some transactions to such and such an acquirer, because this, you know, the ultimate transactional fee will be lower, or sending it to such and such an acquirer because he's managing, for example, Alipay, WeChat, or another scheme that's important for the merchants. Specifically targeting the UK, I think, you know, again, leveraging our smart routing engine and being able to provide a fallback acquiring solution is a key example of what we can do in the UK. You know, to provide merchants with the insurance against loss of revenue, and, you know, also, and most importantly, you know, ensuring that, you know, the customer experience is maintained, whatever, you know, happens from a technical perspective. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, James. Thank you very much. And another one, which I think is going to be the last, as we are running out of time. This is probably for you, Lee. What things have you noticed during and after COVID within the merchant base you serve?
Yeah, I don't know if that's a hint for me to talk quickly anyway on the time saving comment, Sylvia, so I'll try and keep it punchy. I think first of all, one of the things that stood out for me is how a lot of the brands that we work with, you know, have put safety of both their staff and consumers first. I think that's been really pleasing to see, you know, and for a lot of organizations, that's not been easy. They've had to invest very heavily in various types of equipment, training, and lots of other things just to make sure that that safety is there. And I think that ties into one of the points I talked about earlier, and a few people have mentioned on this call, which is around trust as well. I mean, for us, we've seen a huge change in the way, you know, our customers have interacted with us over that period. So it can be everything from making sure that, you know, at the, you know, in the lockdown, whether it's most difficult sort of level in terms of, you know, our engagement. A lot of people were talking to us around making sure systems were resilient. We minimized changes. In many ways, it felt like we were working in a sort of period which is very similar to what we see right now, which is as we approach the Black Friday event, you know, peak trading through Christmas, where some retailers actually make, their profit for the full year only in sort of the November, December timeframe. And for us, when, like I said, lockdown was there, making sure that people could still pay for their groceries, they could still get their food, was really important. And with the increased adoption of cashless technology, which was driven, through COVID, obviously we saw things like the contactless limits increase up to £45 in the UK. And more recently, it's gone up again to 100. So there's been different demands placed on us. I think as well, what we've noticed is that people are now looking at how they serve the shoppers that they have. How do they keep them sticky? How do they keep them loyal to a brand? Fred talked about data and how that can be used. But I think that consistency across the different sales channels that merchants operate, so when a customer shops in one channel but completes in another, having that joined up way of working, a more efficient experience can be delivered, but it also makes things a lot easier at the back end then to be able to use some of that insight more effectively to help deliver, more advanced and different and better experiences moving forward. And I think, as well as we look from here on outwards, I think that way of engaging with shoppers is changing as well. We're all aware of some of the things that Amazon's up to. We've seen Tesco have launched, a similar sort of get your products and walk out type concept in the UK. And we're going to see more of that. And we're going to see people trying, I think, more technologies, more different ways of serving people at what is the most convenient point and the most convenient way for them. So I think, for me, payments is moving exceptionally quickly, probably faster than ever before. But at the same time, we've also got to make sure that we don't forget about things like our, compliance, the regulations that we've got to meet as well, because making sure that, we keep our systems up to date, we keep the services that we provide in line with the very latest regulation won't go away. And certainly for us, it's been really somewhat a strange experience, but I take a lot of pride in the fact that we've worked with some of the biggest merchants with the largest volumes and the highest peaks, particularly if you look at the supermarkets, and a lot of the things that we've put in place to make sure our systems are resilient, that people can sleep at night so that they know their revenues are assured, stand us in good stead, not just for the next couple of weeks or so as we go into the real sort of festive spike in Christmas shopping, but beyond that as well. So we've learned a lot, we've invested a lot, and I think those things see us in a good place to support people as we go forward.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Very interesting. Thank you. Okay, so if anybody else has any other questions, please feel free to email me or any of the speakers. You will see, Stefan, if you move to next slide, you will see our email addresses, but you will receive an email with our details, of course. I think that's all for our time. And as I mentioned, we will be sending this out in the next couple of days. Thank you again for taking the time to join this webinar, and see you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.